Oh, you've disappeared on me, Chris. Great.
Have I? Audio-wise, or?
Uh, Screen capture. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to try and fix Chris's screen, but I think they can hear you as well.
Cool. That's awesome. So
Uh,
this week we're doing it slightly differently. Brett will be taking the
there you
control
go.
because he's the streaming recorder. I just do the easy stuff.
Having to mess up my entire settings over to Chris, we decided that I'll take control and we'll go from there. And this is the KOTE 7 finals. We have Hamburg Atlanteans 2 versus Can't Touch This, the Urchins.
So these are two great European teams, both with large sort of different number of squads available inside the tournament. I mean, Hamburg Atlanteans won the last event. Can't Touch This do all our deck breakdowns every week, so they're not doing them this week, understandably. What can we say? We have two great teams at the top. What we'd expect.
I was in the KFPL chat yesterday during trial, and I said this is pretty much the Godzilla versus King Kong of European teams.
It is. It is. I'm sure many people out there will challenge us on this, and my response to them is always, "Well, you can still sign up for KOTE 8 for another week. Bring your team on board and prove us wrong."
But
always.
Yeah, two amazing teams, amazing players. You'll see them all over the place. And if we move over to like the top cut view, we can see that it hasn't been an easy journey for either team to get here as well.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, we've had.
I mean, you go ahead.
Yeah, Hamburg Atlanteans 2 have had to go through No Kang Offense in Austria 2. Then they had to face their rival team in Hamburg Atlanteans 3, Lake All, who had gone pretty much, who had dominated all the way through their groups.
So Lickle did lose to London Urchins, but that was it. Apart from that, yeah.
And then you've got Can't Touch This, who have had to go through a hell of a gauntlet to get to the finals.
I mean, Can't Touch This every week went to me before they played the games. Well, thank you for having us. It's been great fun playing, but Reap Out are going to knock us out, followed by Team Smith Saz are going to knock us out, followed by Team Zazine are going to knock us out, and then they played and then they won, and every single game was close.
Oh, definitely. And they took, and throughout the top cut, they have been told that they play very slowly, but then Dominic came to him and was like, we're playing slowly because we don't want to make a single mistake. One mistake and we get punished by our opponents here.
I mean, yeah, it's always a challenge. But yeah, I mean, so we're really looking forward to these results. And thankfully the time zone works for us to be able to do this live stream on a Sunday afternoon and not 3 a.m. So that would be a bit harder.
And joining us for commentary today, we have an excellent member of Team Exalted, Void. Do you want to say hello?
Hello there. How are we doing?
And one of the key members of Team Knowledge's Power, we have Justice Blinded.
Hey, sorry, Justice. Well, Eric, I would like to apologise for my colleague here. He had not pronounced the team name correctly. It's Team Zazine. You're not Knowledge's Power.
Sorry.
Tuesday.
Well, I think he's referring to my exterior team. But yes, we'll go by any name you'd like.
So it's okay. Team Knowledge's Power, the Forgers formerly known as Team Zin.
Yes. AKA the team that maybe spent longer working out how to reformat team names to shrink them when they were too long than any other team.
We're going to be nicer next tournament. Sorry about that. But you did admirably.
Thank you. I tried.
I mean, it's so small you can't actually see it on the top cut thing I've got.
We're the pioneers of font size.
Yes, I'll let you have that one.
So, as one of the previous opponents of Can't Touch This, what have you got to say about their top cut run there, JB?
I mean, if they win the final, and that's a big if because these are two very, very talented teams. If they win the final, it is possible. I was talking to them after our match. It is possible if they win this final, it will be the hardest day 2 cut of any Keyforge tournament that has ever existed. Like, there's a very good argument that can be made that there has never been a harder day 2 draw in any major Keyforge tournament that has ever been played on the planet Earth.
Is that including Shadows Worlds?
Yes, and I was thinking about now. I think you can make an argument. So Shadows Worlds, which we ran, was obviously a very stacked top cut. But I think that you can. I'd have to go back and look. That might be a close second, or maybe an argument for first. But there's no question in my mind that the gauntlet they've had to run and are going to have to conclude today is unquestionably in the, let's say, top 5 hardest day 2s that any number of Keyforge players has ever had to play. I think it's probably the top one, but it's, so for them to get here is quite impressive.
Oh, definitely. And it's testament to the skill of the players and the caliber of teams that we've had throughout all of KOTE 6, KOTE 7. Because if you look at the second cut, apart from the teams that dropped due to not making top cut, it's still some of the most competitive teams that you see around the Crucible.
And then us.
And then us.
This top cut was stacked. Yeah. Like, all the tournament was in general.
Right, so I'm going to move over to the Hamburg Atlantean captain screen, and I'm going to get the MIT Lorenzo in. Hello, Lorenzo!
Hi, guys.
Good to have you.
Hello, Lorenzo.
So, how are you feeling going into the finals?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, and I'm happy to be in the finals, and to defend my title.
So were you one of the members of Hamburg Atlanteans 1 in the previous event?
Yes.
And how come you got relegated to Team 2 this time?
We draw our teams randomly before each event, and so also our team number changes from each event. So.
I cannot argue with that. So you are the only Hamburg Atlantean team this time, and I'm afraid you can't change this now, that didn't beat Team Exalted B, which is me and Brett. So congratulations.
That was rough.
That was 2 horrific weeks. But you guys have played so well getting up here, and just to bring this up as well, Hamburg Atlanteans 1 have won their first game versus Team Labwork in their final.
Yeah, cool, so, great.
It's very exciting.
So a quick question coming in from me here is, not that any of the games were easy, but what's been your toughest matchup in the top cut? Which team really stood out as that was a close game?
So when we look at the numbers, I believe so. I must say our Hamburg Atlantean team, and especially for me, it was my first loss in this tournament against the captain, because it was really a matchup I couldn't win that because I played deck with I believe 23 creatures, and my opponent played 20 creature control, so I had no chance in that matchup. That was the hardest, and the other games was also very close. Our blue game was really close because the opponents wasn't 1 turn, 1 ever short for a Keyforge win, so we could also easily lost this and not be in the final. So
Finchmaster's triple Heart of the Forest deck is a pain to play if you're creature heavy.
Yeah, effective. Yeah.
So, talk us through your deck a little bit. Specialist Sandstrom Griefswald?
Yes.
What's its game plan? What are you looking to do when you go in, and how's it done in testing? Because I've seen your name pop up a little bit in sealed games, so I imagine you've been testing the matchup as well.
Yeah, we're testing it, and my deck, as I mentioned, it has 23 creatures. So basically, it's the plan is to reap out, to build a board, and I built a board with a lot of disruption and a lot of speed. I have in this double mark of this to slow my opponents down, or to build my own disc board, and to use the really efficient disc creatures like Breaker or Technofin to cycle, or Snarret to capture Ember with Ember pips and to destroy the Ember of my opponent, so to slow down him. And in Logos I have good speed. I have Kronos with a dropper on himself, and Sloppy Labwork with also 2 droppers, which could really archive a lot in 1 turn. And Sanctum is basically a little bit also disruption. It has cards like Purifier Souls to stop the spot effects, also like World Keeper to stop stealing, and basically 10 creatures to annoying creatures to sit down and whip out and to win the game. Yeah.
Does the Fabian have a capture icon on it? That's the question I want to know.
Yeah, sadly not. Yeah. No, it has a damage pip. The pips could be better assigned, but it's not bad how it is. It's most of the capture pips on this, and most of the damage pips in Sanctum with that are changed. That's pretty huge, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And how did the testing go?
The testing was, for my game, was pretty balanced, I would say. I think we did, I don't know, 6 games, or it was, I think it was 4-2 or 3-3. I don't remember exactly, but it was really balanced. It really depends on the draw. If my opponent has cards like Captain or Witch of the Wilds, when they come early, and I can't remove them because I have not that many creature control. I have basically most of the time pips, damage pips to remove creatures. If I can get rid of Captain, I got a problem. But if opponent starts not that fast and I can build my board and goodbye do my game plan, I think I should be favored, but it's close.
That makes sense, and this is a good example of mass mutation control versus KOTE control, because your opponent's playing a very similar sort of controlling deck, but old school control, where if you've got Mark of Dis, they've got Control of the Weak, where you've got more newfound capture and steal, they've got the old style steal and capture.
Yeah, I believe he's playing What's Collide, or is he?
Is he playing World's Collide? Did I mess that up?
I think
He is, yes.
Yeah.
I've messed up the matchup, yeah, but
yeah. He's playing Worlds Collide, Rush, I would say.
Yep. Logos, Starlights, and Tamed.
I just quickly switched to it. That's my bad. I must have misread the matchup. Do any of the other commentary have any questions for the lovely Lorenzo?
I just had one, if I could, just to clarify what you said earlier. You pick you said you pick your teams at random. Does that mean you throw everyone in your group into a pool and pick teams of 3, or you have prearranged teams of 3 and you just pick at random what number you call each other?
We pick all players in one pool and draw randomly. All players who will be part of the KOTE tournament.
Well, that's incredibly that's both scary and impressive at the same time. The fact that you can just throw that, I think that speaks volumes to to the depth of your team, that you're able to do that. And I did not know that before right now, and I am both horrified and incredibly impressed.
It's also a good example of how they can manage in team building, because new players can be paired up with anybody, but they have to work together, they have to train together, and it's a good way of keeping the team well synergized as well as learning each other's playstyles.
I think for us it's the fairest part to build the teams, because normally I think our team in this time is pretty it's I think one of the best 3 players we got in our team. So we got no beginner player. We got beginner players who played in this KOTE and now our team, of course. But all 3, so Aridani and Kiwi, all players who played several War Tours. Kiwi also won the KFP8 season last time. So we got this time not so balanced team, I would say. But yeah.
That makes sense.
Right, I've got one observation to make.
Go for it.
You're playing a team called Can't Touch This. We all know where Can't Touch This is. Comes on with their play on. You're playing against them, obviously, because you're Hamburg Atlanteans. But yet, your team has the Dis house in every single deck, and theirs do not. Do you feel this is going to be a disadvantage or just an oddity?
A disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Yes.
I don't know, but we like this. It's really we got I think we got 4 Mark of This and 4 Control the Weak, so we like really controlling opponents and take out the fun of it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And as usual, when I come to wrap up the player chats, do you have any smack talk? Have you got anything you want to say to your opponent going into the game?
Nah, I hope we got a good game, and I'm not good in this.
I miss
Just make
the
talk.
I miss the key frogs. The key frogs were the only ones that I did to smack talk, and it was against you guys.
And they lost.
Yeah, they lost.
Everyone's now too scared.
Right, thanks for joining us, Lenzo. If you don't mind getting the game set up, I'll go over to speak to Dominic.
Yeah.
Complex password, please.
Wait, put the password in the group chat.
Yeah, of
Make
course.
it complicated.
I will.
Hello, Dominique.
Hi. Hello.
So,
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, well, you've more than earned your position here.
We have tried.
So, how are you feeling going in? And I know you were a bit worried because we were talking yesterday, and you got all your pre-game practice in last night.
Yes, unfortunately, I had some exams on my studies yesterday, so I don't have some time to have some trainings with my team. But my team was training before, so I feel confident about them. I would lie if I say that I'm totally 100% confident right now. I'm a little nervous because in this matchup, my draw and my opponent's draw would dictate the game. Of course, if we all play our optimal turns, it would be broken down into who draw their best cards first. But yeah, I'm also pretty excited here because that could be a really interesting game. That could be also a very one-sided game, but I hope if it ever get one-sided, I would be the one who's winning. But you know, it's still a card game, so luck is also an important factor here.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And we went through with Lorenzo as well. Why don't would you like to go through your climb to the finals and the teams you've been going across, and which of those teams you consider to have been your toughest matchup?
That's hard to say because every opponent we faced was a challenge for us. We never underestimate our opponents. Also, the decks that we faced were really top tier decks, especially in the top cut. So I would say that it was maybe this matchup would be the hardest matchup because we are live streamed and everybody's looking at us. So this could be the hardest matchup depending on the stress level for us and you know all this people watching us, but every matchup before was also you know hard for us. Was demanding, so we had to play our best to win.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So talk us through your deck. We had Lorenzo's take on it, but what's the game plan going into the finals?
So basically, I cannot let my opponent to build his board before I build mine. He had some great creatures from Sanctum House, and I'm really afraid that he will draw them before I draw my removals. Mostly, I'm confident about my board state, because my opponent is playing little to none removal cards, except for some damage pips combined with History Cog and Maleficorn. I would say that if I draw my removal in the exact time I need it, the matchup would be one-sided here. Could be at least one-sided. My opponent is playing also a lot of 4 strength and 5 strength creatures, so I could just easily swipe his board with 1 Quintrino Flax. But unfortunately, if I do not draw my key cards here, and I won't be able to build my board because my opponent would be constantly controlling my board with his board, I would be in a big trouble because my deck generates Ember using my board. So that's my biggest fear here, that I would be swarmed with my opponent's creatures before I could put some my creatures on the table.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Cool. Any of the other commentary got any questions for Dominique?
I have one actually for you, Dominic. We heard from the Atlanteans the rather interesting way that they pick their teams for each coat randomly. Do you have anything special you guys do?
We mostly try to pick our teams depending on who is friends with whom and who likes who. So you could say it's a little bit, shady because we are not playing. We are not randomizing. We are mostly playing with some friends together. But we are thinking about shaking things a little bit, so we will be playing on KOTE 8 with a different setup, with some new players, because we have just introduced 2 new players to our team. Big shout out to them, they are amazing. And we would also like to do some commentaries more. So one of our players is thinking about making some commentaries instead of playing, because he finds it really interesting to deconstruct the decks, to find some new ways to utilize some cards, especially in the max SAS format, when every card is actually playable here.
No, that makes a lot of sense going in. If we haven't got any other questions, just the final one is: do you have anything to say to the opponent? Any smack talk? Any words of encouragement?
Well, I've got one after.
Oh, go on then. We can throw that.
Go ahead with the smack talk first.
Sorry?
Have you got anything to say to the opponent before the game starts?
Yeah. So basically, I hope that all of your Sanctum creatures are at the bottom, and I would draw Quintrino right after you put all your 4 power creatures on the table, so I could just win the game with my superior board.
Well, that's strong smack talk, man. And only the second team, to my knowledge, to do smack talk in any of our interviews in the last few months. So there's two things I want to bring up. This is really just this. You put an opportunity for us to mention you offering some coaching skills. Do you want to go through that now, just while we have a minute?
Yes, of course. So in Poland, there is, let's say, a tradition that every year around Christmas, there is this great orchestra of Christmas charity. They are collecting some money for hospitals, and they have already collected around 80 million zlotys. So it's a lot of money for our hospitals, and they are focusing on children. And this year, they are also collecting money, but mostly online. So we decided to put our skills on action. you could buy some hours of our coaching, and all the money goes to the great orchestra. And we would be happy to, of course, to help everybody anytime. But if we could, let's say, collect some money for the charity, let's do it. And the link is on the KOTE group on Facebook. But also you could contact me directly. I could send you the link for the actions.
Stick it in the Discord as well for people to, because that's where most of the people end up anyway.
That's perfect. That's perfect too.
And the other one is you're starting your new league this week or next week?
Next week we are starting Polish Dark Tidings League. So we are preparing for the new expansion. We managed to get some support from our Polish distributor. It's targeted mostly to Polish players because every announcement and every rules and every description of this tournament would be in Polish. We want to revitalize Polish meta before the new expansion is available. So for the next 4 weeks, we would be playing some pretty nice formats like Max SAS Archon, like Minimum SAS Reversal, some sealed games, but without actually opening new decks. Just we are writing some fancy app to for players to play sealed online. And the top 8 or top 16 or top 32, it depends on how it would be, how many players would play in the league. Top players will be playing during the top tournament, the final tournament for a kit that is sponsored by our Rebel.pl. It's the company that distributes Keyforge in Poland, and each winner, each top 3 during each of the qualifier tournaments would get a deck from the alt art that weren't released yet. So it would be probably the set with Tremor, with Unnatural Selection, etc.
That's really cool. And the first, the first one you've got coming up is the 6th of February, which is a 70 cap Archon that must contain this.
Yes, every deck during the tournament will contain this because we are saying goodbye to this. Unfortunately for us, because you can't touch this. So every deck would contain this, even during the sealed, and we'll assure that all these decks during the sealed will have 70 SAS. So there won't be, losers from the beginning.
That makes perfect sense. Right, I'll let you shoot off when we'll head over to the Can't Touch This breakdown of the matchup. And best of luck to everyone involved.
Thank you.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the deck chat portion of this stream. My name is David Baron von Fabulous Lark from Screechbowl Commentaries. This is my co-commentator,
Callum, the good Dr. Young.
And we're here today to talk to you about the 2 teams in the final of the Keyforge Online team event, which are the Hamburg Atlanteans from Hamburg, Germany, and Can't Touch This from Poland. Do you want to tell us who's playing today, Callum?
So we'll start by talking about Can't Touch This. And in the top cut on their way here, they have taken down a number of the big American teams. So we saw them beat Team Reapout, we saw them beat Team SAS, we saw them beat Kip, and they arrive here in the final. And the first deck we're going to look at is Titko's deck, the captain's deck, which is entitled.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the deck chat portion of this stream. My name is David Baron von Fabulous Lark from Screechbowl Commentaries. This is my co-commentator,
Callum, the good Dr. Young.
And we're here today to talk to you about the 2 teams in the final of the Keyforge Online team event, which are the Hamburg Atlanteans from Hamburg, Germany, and Can't Touch This from Poland. Do you want to tell us who's playing today, Callum?
So we'll start by talking about Can't Touch This. And in the top cut on their way here, they have taken down a number of the big American teams. So we saw them beat Team Reapout, we saw them beat Team SAS, we saw them beat Kip, and they arrive here in the final. And the first deck we're going to look at is Titko's deck, the captain's deck, which is entitled, I won't say the Polish because I'll butcher it, but Google translated it to Gerard, a scoundrel from crowded Malbork.
We'll refer to it from Gerard from now on, and I'd say that this deck is fast.
Oh boy,
Speed for
my
days.
notes just say zoom. Yeah, this is like a specific type of Worlds Collide Rush deck, where what you do is you use a lot of powerful creature effects to generate huge amounts of efficiency and synergy. So you go through your deck very quickly, you play a lot of cards and do quite a lot of things per turn, and as a result, generate huge amounts of Ember very quickly. You don't have many Ember controls cards in this house combination, but that doesn't matter if you win 3-2.
Yeah, you're often aiming to just kind of get through your deck and your winning distance so quickly that you don't care what the other person's doing almost.
And this deck went fully undefeated through the in rounds.
Oh wow, that is impressive.
Which is pretty damn impressive given the overall high quality of what we have seen.
Let's look at the cards in a bit more detail then. So in the logos, we have a lot of just kind of potential for draw here. So you've got things like the Telltale Vapors, you've got the Titan Guardian, which you can usually get between a couple of things and definitely make someone fight to draw from it. Wormhole Technician for a bit of archiving, and a Candle Unit if your opponent really wants to reap into you and give you cards through that.
You've got an Edai to archive cards, you've got an Igor to look at cards, and all of this contributing a lot to the 16 efficiency that we see. You can also throw in a Helmsman Spears in the Star Alliance for potentially big draw on a Star Alliance turn if you can get it to survive.
Which I think will be difficult considering all the damage pits we'll talk about in Specialist when we get to that. But it does do damage. Gerard, no slouch either.
No, you have kind of like just enough disruption to really slow down your opponent, right? So not so much damage, but also just removing things from the board. So you have Quintrina Flux, which if you hit a lot of creatures of the same power, you can really wipe a board.
Yeah, we do see a lot of creatures of the same power in Specialists. We have a lot of 4-power creatures, a lot of 3-power creatures in there as well.
You have 3 Nature's Calls, which is going to be absolutely ridiculous in terms of just returning creatures to your hand over and over and over again, as well as replaying your Ghost Hawks.
Yep. Or returning your opponent's creatures to their hand, say in the case of a Lieutenant Gorvenal with a lot of Ember on it. Also, just a quick note for a rare here is Entropic Swirl. Choose a creature for each trait that creature has, deal 2 damage to it and gain 1. So if you were say to hit this Igor, there's 1 trait of Cyborg, so you'd hit it for 2 and gain 1. But if you hit this Edai, it's an AI and a scientist, so you hit it for 4 and gain 2.
Both Ember generation and removal. And I think the Ember generation in this deck is going to come pretty quickly because triple Nature's Call, double Ghost Hawk, you're going to be reaping so much potentially.
Exactly.
If you can get those creatures to stick on the board. Yeah,
also just interestingly as well, with the Captain Val Jericho, during your turn, if Captain Val Jericho is in the center of your battle line, you may play 1 card that is not the active house. With ways of kind of like moving creatures back and forth to your hand with Nature's Call, you're often going to be able to get that Val Jericho kind of like on every turn pretty much. And it gives you really effective ways to kind of like bring back those Ghost Hawks, move things around your battle line and maximize that benefit.
Alternatively, either with Val Jericho as 1 rare, or Witch of the Wilds in the Untamed.
So during each turn in which Untamed is not your active house, you may play 1 Untamed card. So again, those Nature's Calls, those Ghost Hawks can both be really useful played out of house.
Both of those will let you play Nature's Call out of house, letting you get access to play effects at house. So after even like a minute of looking at this, I got really excited. This is very much my kind of thing. And the idea of using Witch of the Wilds to play a Nature's Call out of house and replaying an Edai and an Igor.
That's very nice.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, that could be really powerful.
One efficiency.
One final rare to look at is Inca the Spider, which is poisoned. So any damage dealt by this creature's power during a fight destroys the damaged creature, and its play reap, stun a creature, only 1 power. Not the best creature nowadays. I think there are creatures with much bigger effects, but still, just to be able to play stun a creature can be very useful, especially if your opponent has some like creature with nasty reap or fight effects, which Specialist does have some of, which we'll now talk about.
Yeah, And you do have obviously the key charge to really close it out.
Indeed,
And
you
I did want
do.
to do one final thing, because you have an interesting interaction. You have double walls, which usually just brings back upgrades, but can also bring back robots. So if the candle unit is giving your opponent a lot of trouble,
Oh yes, you can
just,
definitely bring
get
back that robot. Yeah, and with the Valjerico, potentially play that robot on the same turn on observe count.
Or the resembling automaton.
Indeed.
I love this sort of deck. It's my favorite type of deck. I considered buying this one before deciding I didn't quite want to pay the probably quite fair price that's being asked for it.
But I think we should really move on to Specialist Sandstorm now.
Probably, I'm a little bit overexcited.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. So this is a deck that we've commented on quite a few times now, so we're getting quite familiar with it. And what we'd say about this deck is that it really is, you know, a bit of an all-rounder. Only thing missing, I'd say, is the kind of creature control and a bit of artifact control, but everything else it really excels in just kind of being able to like do a bit of Ember controlling, do a bit of Ember generation, drawing, and then just keeping a board that stops your opponent from doing anything.
Yeah, and this is probably why Lorenzo also piloted it through the in-rounds undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
So big clash here.
Indeed.
And Hamburg Atlanteans on their way to the final knocks out No Krankenfats in Austria 2, Hamburg Atlanteans 3 in a brutal civil war.
Indeed.
And Lick All, a multinational team out of several Asian countries.
Indeed.
And yeah, I think we start with the double Skippy Time Hog here.
Yeah. So Skippy Time Hog play, your opponent cannot use any cards during their next turn. So that is both artifacts and creatures.
And that's going to wreck a lot of the plans that Gerard is trying to put together.
Yeah, it really is. So, you know, a lot of this kind of is based on, like, say, being able to reap. Although, this is a rules thing that I'm not entirely sure on, but I think you may, by playing the Ghost Talk, may supersede Skippy Time Hog, because I think May does override Cant.
I believe it does not.
Oh, really?
I think
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you won't be able to, because reaping is still using.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do that either.
Okay. I know it has funny interactions with Enrage where you can reap with an enraged creature, but I'm not sure if it
does, but I'm pretty sure this won't work like that.
Yeah.
As a victim of this before.
I see.
Opposition research will do the same thing.
Yep.
And you have the Stirring Grave to just bring back the Skippy Time Hogs again.
Indeed. You also have some nice things in Dis to disrupt your opponent as well. So Mark of Dis, great ones, just kind of force them into houses. Although lesser problem in Gerard where you have out of house abilities like the Witch of the Wilds, like the Captain Valjerico.
That will negate it a bit, but obviously it's kind of like a fine-tuned machine trying to race to the end. If you can throw a wrench in there, you can often really disrupt things, and that absolutely will do that.
You also got a break key, which can kind of like send Gerard back. So if they are getting off to that fast start, you can rein them back in by using a break key on them too.
Yeah, and we see a few of the other things that got the Hamburg Atlanteans this far in this deck to its undefeated run. Vault Keeper and Discombobulator, just to turn off any stealing.
Yeah. Ember cannot be stolen by Vault Keeper. And Purify of Souls stops any destroyed effect. Less of an issue in Gerard. I don't think there are any destroyed effects as far as I can see, but still worth noting.
Nothing jumped out at me. And yeah, you'll be able to capture a bunch with the 7 capture icons.
Or steal it if you have the Scrivener Fabian out as well.
Yeah, because a good number of those capture enhancements are in Sanctum, I believe.
Yeah, I'm going to have stuff like a Maleficorn, which you see like very little board control from Specialists, but when you have Maleficorn, which after an enemy creature is dealt damage by a bonus icon, deal an additional damage to it, and 9 damage pips in the deck means that you can do a lot of work with those damage pips as too.
Yes, be able to take out a lot of the sort of not especially large creatures you get in Gerard, only 80 power.
We talked about the speed of Gerard, but I think Specialist is also worth noting is no slouch either.
No, not at all.
You know, you've got Daughter, you've got Cronus to archive a lot, you've got a bot Bookton to do some draw from that. You know, sloppy lab work as well, just cause a loop. Really good ways of just kind of pulling yourself through your deck, getting yourself to exactly the things you need.
I think the difference being that this uses its speed to cycle through answers and responses whilst trying to build up this big Sanctum board.
Indeed, whereas Gerard tries to cycle through and pose questions to its opposition.
Yeah, it says if you cannot stop me from doing this thing, I will win in a low number of turns.
Exactly.
But we have seen. Sorry, go.
So I think that's what this matchup is going to come down to. is that can Specialist slow down Gerard sufficiently? I think if this matchup goes kind of past turn 9, turn 10, Specialist is probably going to be winning this. If Gerard can go fast enough and Specialist doesn't draw the answers in that time, though, we're going to see Gerard getting the win in this captain's game.
I think so. And if Gerard can get a board that starts going out of hand, if Sandstorm's creature control doesn't prove enough, I could see it winning. But if you were to push me to a prediction, I would probably say that Sandstorm is going to grind it down and eventually close out the game.
Okay.
Probably with a mark of this.
Well, we'll hand back over to the KOTE team to get onto the game. Thank you.
Alrighty.
So I did just cut off the last minute of that breakdown because I suck at hotkeys. I do apologise to the Screech Bums, but let's go into the game. So, commentary team, how are we feeling going into this?
Well, I mean, I feel like this is a situation of, and I think someone mentioned in the pre-game interviews, it's a situation of draws. I feel like this is going to be, it's going to be a battle of how well the Atlanteans, how well Lorenzo can hang on from an early burst, and how much of an early burst Dominic can get out to. I think those are going to be the two competing.
Is this the turn 1 Val Jericho again?
I don't know. We'll see.
By how long it's taking, I don't think so. It is!
Oh, there we go.
Well, there you go.
Ah.
So just for those of you who watch our regular streams, this week we are doing it with closed hands to ensure there's no way of cheating. This is why we have 2 extra commentators on board this week, as well as to help with the length of the commentary.
Yeah, essentially we just asked the teams what they wanted, and they weren't happy with open hands unless there was an hour delay. So we did what we could to accommodate teams. But a turn 1 Val Jericho again, we saw this in the game against Knowledge is Power. It's a very strong opening play.
Oh, God, yeah. But what's he going to follow it up with is the question.
Very interesting point. Well, we really do need to do a list of top 10 turn 1 plays for each set.
A lot of options.
A lot of options.
Can't have more than 5 options. That's the maximum number of options.
That is true. But well, Telltale Vapors is a good option.
That's a great choice.
Igor would have been really good as well. Maybe dropping a Titan Guardian, Molfin, which the Wilds would have been a really good.
I think that might be the best card in deck to play second off turn 1 there.
If he'd got the Val Jericho into Witch of the Wilds, would he then have been able to play another Untamed card?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's an insane turn 1.
No, he can't.
Because Witch of the Wilds is an Untamed card.
But you played that off Val Jericho, you didn't play off Witch of the Wilds.
Right. But I think that I'm 80%.
We'll go to a judge about that if it ever happens.
That's a weird ruling, but I think that the Witch of the Wilds would count as the Untamed card.
So we've got the Purifier Souls coming down. Destroyed effects do not trigger. Not really going to make that much of a difference against Gerard here. Gibuk and Titan Guardian really the only ones affected by it.
We're reassembling, but that's not. Those aren't big hits.
No.
So those who are unclear, the card structure lists are at the top, and Lorenzo is at the bottom.
Yeah, I've got huge icons. Remember?
Yep, you do. I just wanted to check. Equalizer's gone down. Got up in amber, I suppose.
Yeah, it was Equalize, Purifier Souls, then Pass.
Yeah.
So.
What's the follow-up going to be?
Yeah, we've seen Starlights and a Logos card. We could possibly see on Tame turn, depending what was archived.
Based on his comment earlier that he had a bunch of options, that means he did not have a lot of Star Alliance cards in his hand. So I know it was a joke, but I actually wouldn't have. I don't know if I would have said that in the game because my guess that he could have at most drawn 2 Star Alliance cards.
But it could also just been a huge bluff.
Well, that's true. He could be playing 3rd level Keyforge here. I will give that is entirely possible.
It could have been Telltale Vapors is the only option he had, but he wanted to get in Lorenzo's head.
That would be hilarious if that were the case. We'll have to ask him about that later.
having a good think about what he's going to do, though.
Oh, yeah. This has happened in pretty much all of their games. I think Grant Titus, aka Stronglink, actually ran the numbers and Can't Touch This usually take about 3 times as long as their opponent.
I mean, the only thing that's really relevant about that is as long as people have time to play the game. And I don't think that this is going to be a game where we're going to run the risk of... Like, these are not super grindy decks. Oh. Certainly, Dominic's deck is not a super grindy deck.
So Entropic Swirl gets 2 amber and 4 damage. Then Nature's Call for Jericho to bounce everything. Igor,
King Can, Force Field, and a Data Forge.
Yeah. Nature's Call to bounce.
He bounced the Purifier Souls, basically keeping Val Jericho alive a little bit longer.
It's pretty reasonable play. Nice burst.
I wonder. Well, yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you didn't find a. Because there's a gamble there, right? Because if you happen to hit a Logos creature off Igor, you could play another Igor and then play Nature's Call to bounce the first Igor and get max value.
True, but yeah, you need to have 2 creatures because you couldn't play. Yeah, you need to have.
No, you would have, but they only have. Well, they have so the Candle Unit Eddy 2, 3, 4. So they would have 4 more Logos creatures. It's close odds.
It depends what else is in hand, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would have... I probably would have played the Igor first, not risking... Because then you still have the Nature's Call in hand. If you don't hit a Logos creature, you could maybe... I don't know. It's actually a pretty tough call.
With 3 Nature's Calls, you're not too worried about using 1 early, because you know you're going to draw into the other ones.
Yeah, consistency is going to be there with those kind of numbers.
Yeah. Oh, Skippy. Skippy could be
on Skippy. Okay.
Discombobulated prevented steal, and Adaptoid could be huge here because Igor's just sat there saying steal from me. Can't use the Indoor Exploit, can't use any of the creatures, so it all comes down to what's in the hand.
Well, this isn't a super high value Skippy because they were at best going to get 1 action out of board.
True, but it keeps the Adaptodes alive, and if they've got more logos with more icons, it could set up a huge steal for an attack onto the Igor.
Nature's Call would be a nice thing to be able to play right now, actually.
Do you bounce the Skippy or do you leave the Skippy alone?
What's that?
Definitely bounce the Adaptoid.
Yeah, definitely bounce the Adaptoid. But do you bounce the Igor, then play it again off the Val Jericho? And what do you do about Skippy? Do you leave Skippy alone, or do you bounce it just to pollute the hand a little bit?
Well, the only way that sequence that you just described would work would be you would have to have another creature in hand. Like if you call Untamed, you'd have to play an Untamed creature on the other side of Jericho and then bounce that creature and Igor in order to get that. Or if you call
because if you call Untamed, you can play Nature's Call as part of Untamed.
Yes.
And then and then Val Jericho's in the center. If you bounce Igor, then you play Igor off Val Jericho.
Yeah, you could do it that way too. That would also be an option.
So,
although I don't know if I'd want to. It's kind of not great to blow 2 out of your 3 Nature's Calls this early into the match.
No, not especially with the Lorenzo's huge creature base.
Yeah.
I think the.
He's gone into Untamed.
Part of the stream's got no sound. I'm gonna quickly check on that. Give me a second. Oh, sorry, I was just checking the audio. I muted us for that way. No, it should come through the media player.
I'm not sure. But if they heard interviews beforehand, then it may just be.
I think it's an issue, and I'm probably gonna have to. I'll try and work it out. I don't know why it wasn't gonna. So 15 minutes late, but sorry about that, guys. I'll try and figure out what went wrong there for the next one.
From the future.
Yes.
Thinking from the future. Hopefully, our audio is going through.
So playing the Ghost Hawk. Our audio's going through fine. Yeah, I can get that. It's the Screech Bomb breakdown that seems to be an issue.
So he's pitched an Explo rover and a reassembling automaton. To play out an Inca.
And also got the Witch of the Wilds down as well, which is really good. Got rid of the Adapts Toe back to hand and was able to stun the Skippy as well. It's really
starting to establish that board that he wanted.
Yeah. Dominic wants to get the board early. And with double house cheating available, this is going to be a very fast game for Dominic if Lorenzo can't get control of it. Board wipe wise, there isn't any really. This could be a huge issue for Lorenzo. I mean, he's got the Maleficon and the Historic, but they have to stay down.
Yeah, they're slow to activate. He's going to have to do something quickly before this gets out of hand, I think.
Mark of Disc could buy him a little bit of time, but it's not great. At this time, I would probably say the momentum is definitely in Can't Touch This's favour.
I think the only counter he can have here is if he's got a clutch full of Sanctum.
Yeah, but then he's still got the Adapter in hand. But yeah, he'd have to essentially swarm the board with Sanctum. But so I'd say that now Lorenzo's taking his time, but goes into Sanctum. Purifies back down.
Gets rid of that Inca with the damage pip.
Yeah.
Where's the second pip going?
Did he put them both on Inca by mistake? No, he only used one. He's just looking to where to place the second one.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter unless you got a cleansing wave, but if you got a cleansing wave, you wouldn't have gone for Inca. So possibly put the second damage. Witch of the Wilds. Ghost Hawk. Oh, shoulder armor with pit damage as well gets rid of the Ghost Hawk, but puts Jericho back in the center.
Yeah, that's
feels bad.
I don't know about that. You don't really Ghost Hawk doesn't. I mean, I guess you could hit a Nature's Call, so Ghost Hawk could be used for value, but I don't know if that's more important than decentering.
Yeah, the double house cheat is huge but I'm sure Lorenzo knows what he's doing, and having the ability to Ghost Hawk, Nature's Call, drop the Ghost Hawk again and reap even further.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you can recenter Varric if he killed Igor instead of Jericho. You could. I mean, there are a lot of different lines. He could have two creatures to recenter. It wouldn't be that ridiculous of a thing, or Nature's Call, or any number of things.
Well, it was only 3 damage, so it wouldn't have been able to do it. But I guess it makes sense.
Well, Ghost Hawk and Igor are the same power, so I think that probably would have.
But the double house cheating here could turn out to be very punishing.
Oh, but a 7 power 4 armor Purifier Souls is huge.
Very big boy.
If it survives, it's going to be able to one-shot that Val Jericho next turn. If you've got this hand support to back them going back into Sanctum, because it's important to get back control of this game, but how much momentum are you willing to sacrifice in order to get rid of it? Luckily, the Ambers the Amber Totals haven't got too far out of control.
When I was looking at this match earlier, one of the lines that I thought that Lorenzo could have engaged in as kind of a counterplay to the rush would be to find some logo stuff earlier, use Chronos and the other archiving stuff to stick a bunch of Sanctum in archive, and then have a huge Scrivener Favi try to steal a bunch of Amber back. But I don't know if that's. I mean, at this point in the match, I don't know if that would. There's not enough time to do all that. You would have to get the logos really early, I think.
So we saw a lot.
Jericho's getting bigger and bigger as well.
Yeah, the Instrument of Silence is going to allow Val Jericho to do some smacking. Like the Icons and Hologramophone came down as well after Val Jericho. Recentered, and Helmsman Spears comes down. The threats just keep growing from Dominic here. Xeno training, going to capture the 4-3. And do we have...
Does he have an Untamed card to take advantage of that Witch of the Wilds?
That's exactly what I was thinking. If he's got an Untamed card in hand as well, this is a beautiful play. No. So he's got
the
one.
Other thing to remember is even though Dominic's deck is very fast, it has a trade-off in that it has very little Amber control. Xeno training is probably the biggest hit on Amber control. It has, one Eddy with not that many sources of archiving. It has one Candle unit, which doesn't really do much, and that has like King Cat. So if somehow Lorenzo can stabilize this and start, trying to get a bunch of Amber
So
quickly,
I did just
then,
go off the last minute of that breakdown because
then
Jesus,
turn it
I've
around.
got to. I do
Tough
apologize.
to take
It is, and the game plan from Tycho is obviously to go as fast as he can.
Yeah. So he kills his own Skippy Timehawk to archive Skippy Timehawk. That's an interesting play.
I guess he wants to get control of the board, and Snorette needs to be answered. But you just literally go into Star Alliance here, right?
Oh yeah. Anytime you can start a turn with Helmsman alive and not like stunned or something, yeah, you go into Star Alliance. Helmsman is silly.
You've got a Val Jericho with Skirmish.
Yeah, you have all the other stuff set up. So yeah, no, this should be an absolutely absurd turn.
Yeah, and hopefully he's drawn some Untamed as well, so we can see this huge, massive meta play. Or you can just save it without Helmsman, get rid of anything you don't want in your hand, and then just hope to draw better. Because we're seeing Lorenzo still 21 cards in deck, but Dominic is down to his final 9. He has almost cycled his deck.
Yeah, he should probably be redrawing. Depending on what he has, he should probably be. I would guess he's going to redraw at end of turn. Like that's how many. Well, yeah, no, it's going to be close. Depending how big the Helmsman hit is.
Definitely does depend on what's in hand, but if you've got these 3 creatures down, especially with Val Jericho, with Skirmish and the Helmsman, you get to check for your second key and you just stay in Star Alliance. It's sort of like when you got a few dinos down. Doesn't matter what's in your hand, you just go Saurian.
Yeah, we're going to see that. You're foreshadowing a little. That's in a there's a nonsense Saurian house in a later matchup for sure.
That's my favorite place to keep the 4 in the shadows.
Indeed.
So Dominic's ran away with the first key and has got the same amber as Lorenzo, with Lorenzo key behind. Goes Logos.
Yeah. I figured he was going to exploit that.
Goes well. So, but the going Logos is very interesting because passing up on Helmsman, Jerry,
Yeah. That...
If he's good enough in hand to get to check, though, and push it.
But I get that. But
well, there's basically no possible combination of cards he couldn't get to check in Star Alliance.
Yeah, the Star Alliance play seems a lot stronger because you can still deal with the Snorette. You could still deal with the Purifier. You could run Explore over into Snorette, then Positron Bolt off the Val Jericho. Redraw. You could draw up. It just.
Okay, well he protects Helmsman's. There's some utility there, but you can just use Helmsman. That's why.
Puts Wind Spirit on Val Jericho. It's an 8 with 4 armor. With Reap Capture, Skirmish Fight, Game 1.
And Lorenzo, unfortunately, does not have a lot of. I think might have. I'm looking down the list. Might have literal nothing to deal with that. Like I don't think that there's anything in Lorenzo's deck short of throwing a bunch of Sanctum creatures at it that can deal with that.
Opposition research and Skippy Time Hogs by 1 turn.
Sure. But removal, like you can't. Like he doesn't have anything that could remove that.
Markadis, which is a very bad use of Markadis.
Markadis will mark him into Star Alliance, but like that's not gonna.
But it could kill Helmsman because it's 2 damage.
Oh no! I thought you meant. I thought we were talking about Jericho. I was
Oh,
saying
Jericho is going nowhere.
Yeah, no, Jericho's not leaving.
Look at that daughter.
That's a silly
Damage, capture, and draw. That is a disgusting daughter. I love it.
And it's also been unfortunate for Lorenzo that he hasn't found Cronus yet. Did that just say the sloppy lab work has double draw on it?
It did. Can hover.
That's pretty funny. It's not in discard yet. It hasn't been resolved.
You can, if you go into the chat log, you can just highlight it. It'll show the enhancements as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the stream can't see it because of the way I've got it set up. But double draw with Pip. So Lorenzo.
See what he picks up.
Yeah, Lorenzo might get to check, but it's still far behind in terms of momentum.
Yeah.
Play Skippy so that nothing can be used. That's going to keep Helms
Yeah,
Spears.
Skippy's pretty big here. Like archiving the Skippy seemed a little slow earlier, but it's good foresight to understand that.
And that
given
goes...
that
still in the archive, that Skippy. This is his second one he's played.
Yeah. Yeah, they killed it earlier via the damage pip and then archived it via Stirring Grave.
But this goes back to what we were saying in the last turn. He should have gone Helmsman Spheres that time because we knew he had Skippy in the archive.
Yeah, no, anytime, I mean, general rule of thumb, whenever you're playing a deck with Helmsman Spears, if you're allowed to use Helmsman Spears, you need a compelling reason not to call Star Alliance that turn.
Oh, definitely.
Very compelling reason.
Because everything that Dominic did in that turn could have also just been discarded and still have got to check, but would have essentially drawn to the bottom of his deck as well. So what does Dominic have in deck that could possibly... We haven't seen the Edai yet, but he's got to have a couple of these Nature's Calls ready to go. But you don't want to bounce that daughter. Damn, that's a... Ghost Hawk's ready, but there's not much they can really do. Quincan could be quite interesting here, like the icons, but a lot of stuff that Dominic's got left in deck is very creature based. So
yeah,
I think the Skippy is going to be absolutely huge to decrease the momentum of that Dominic's built up.
Molten is actually a pretty big card here because we haven't seen Scrivener or any of the Scrivener rush that could potentially occur if the card draw sequencing comes out okay.
Oh, definitely, and it limits Adapter Toad's abilities as well because each steal is going to deal some damage to each creature.
Right.
And as you pointed out before, JB, Lorenzo's deck is very light on creature removal, so this Morphin very likely to go anywhere.
Yeah, no, I mean the only way I think I'm looking at the deck, and I have a list printed, but I don't have all the pips in front of me. So I think it depends on where the damage pips are. But short of damage pips are probably the only real way they have to remove something like that behind taunt.
He's just done what I thought he was going to do. It sort of clicked in my head. Last turn he went Logos to ward up the Witch of the Wilds, so that he could Quintino Flux this turn without losing Witch of the Wilds.
Yeah.
Which has wiped out. He's pretty much dealt with the board that he had to deal with.
Okay. Well, now he can play both an Untamed card and another card. Oh, he played Eddie. That was the.
Yeah, he played Eddie off.
You could still Witch the Wilds, some Untamed card in.
Has lost his Helmsman though for the Quintino Flux.
Yeah, I mean, like at this point in time, I don't think you need Helmsman. I mean, like we said earlier, would have used it earlier, but like. You know, you have so much of an established advantage that you're also diversifying board. So you're taking out some insurance against getting marked into a different house. Like getting marked into Star Alliance is never going to happen. Getting marked into Untamed is possible but unlikely. So like the most likely mark would be into Logos. I would think. Although let me look at discard. I don't know what he's got in discard.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in discard.
Yeah, 100% you mark into logos. There's only 2 unknown logos cards. There are 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's Candle Unit and Wild Worm and Wormhole Technician.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't care about those things. So yeah, you would mark into logos here if you were going to discipline a mark. But even then, it's not super profitable. Is what I was starting to.
But you need to get Dominic off this key here, and if you've got Drekka and a couple of disc creatures, that might be the play. Because with 11 cards left in deck, it's very unlikely that Lorenzo hasn't got a hold of a Mark of Dis here.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect at least one as an archive if that was an option for them earlier. But this is just a dire set of circumstances for Lorenzo. There's not a lot of, I mean, short of a massive Scrivener burst, which if you do that, Molfin's going to blow up most of your board.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not a lot of clawback mechanisms that this deck has in this particular scenario.
It's a good situation for Breaky, but it doesn't really do anything because there's nothing to synergize with it. Stogo's been used.
He has gone into this.
Techno Fiend, Marketis.
Oh,
Molfin!
That's very interesting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's only 5 cards left.
Yeah, so I think my guess is I was just going to say my guess is he knows that that Scrivener is his bailout, like long shot possibility. So he had to get rid of Molfin. So you had to use a mark just to get it in a place where you could kill it.
But this is good as well because he's got the Techno Fiend with the capture, taking off the key, use this break key to destroy the key, and then Essence scale the Techno Fiend to steal again. And now we see, look, that is a huge swing of momentum because it is putting them back essentially at the same amber.
Yes. They are not in equal positions in the game, but it is much closer now.
That was a huge turn, and if you can get some damage down with this Hedgehog, it can do some serious removal. Also,
is there a way can you put someone in chat in the stream is saying they're having a hard time seeing the keys in amber?
Oh, it should be pretty clear.
I don't know. I'm just relaying this. So the bottom one, the graphic is, but I don't know. I'm not. Yeah. I'm guessing.
The keys are more easy to see once they've been forged, but the amber should be pretty clear because it's very clear.
I don't know. I'm relaying from the future.
It's the active player. Whoever's the active player, you can't see very well their line.
But you can still see if you look at Tycho when he's got the key forged, it stands out bold because I double checked that. There's nothing I can really do now because it's to do with the
I think it's
the monochrome, but I'll try and fix that for the future.
We can always note when keys are forged. I think 15 minutes in the past there are.
Speaking, he has just forged red key again, so I'll just play the animation again.
He's only got 4 untamed cards left in his deck.
I mean, it's more than he has of logos, but
so
still got
but not having
a Nature's Call left.
One Nature's Call. Key charge, right?
Yeah, key charge is there still.
Ghost Hawk. Ghost Hawk.
A buck.
Ghost Hawk.
Still key charge with the Verico as well.
Yeah. I think Ghost Hawk with Nature's Call could be huge here.
I think you could see a key charge key here this turn.
Well, yeah. There's only a 1 in 8 chance that he doesn't have all of the untamed cards in his hand.
Or is Dominic gonna hold on for it as a win condition?
Well, given that Breaky was just played, I don't know that I mean, from Dominic's perspective, what Lorenzo is lining up, especially since he telegraphed it he needed to do it, but he telegraphed it by killing Molfin, right? The only reason, in my opinion, why you would kill Molfin in that scenario, and mark thereby doing so by marking the person into Untamed, knowing that they're going to have more Untamed action than they're going to have in Logos, is if you're setting up a Scrivener hit.
Yeah, if you've got the Scrivener with the captures ready to go to steal.
Yeah, or you know that you're only out. So if I'm Dominic, 100%, if there's a way to key cheat this turn, I'm key cheating because I'm expecting if I leave any amber I leave on the table, I have to anticipate there's a strong likelihood it's going to go away. It's going to be stolen.
Yeah.
Completely agree. If you can get to 7 and forge and leave yourself on 0, it really puts Lorenzo in a bind next turn.
Yeah.
Because Lorenzo's only just going to get his first key.
Yeah. Even if you leave 1 or 2 pieces of amber to steal, that's fine. But I would, if there's any line, and like we said, he's got a 7 out of 8 chance of having access to key charge and Nature's Call, 7 out of 8 chance of any one of those cards.
Yeah, he's definitely the chances are he's got all 3 ready to go. I think he was choosing whether he wanted to get the archive. It might be key charges in the archive ready to go.
Candle unit off of
Val Jericho, yeah.
Jericho.
Ghost Hawk.
Ghost Hawk left between Eddie and Explorer. Oh, wait, what?
I think he's has he got another?
You've already taken your Jericho hit. Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter.
But has he got the ability to get a upgrade to bring back?
Yeah, he's brought Force Field back.
Nature's Call, Talk.
Gets him the 2 amber to get him to 7.
Yeah.
Bounces everything. So even if Scriven comes down, it's not going to be protected.
Oh my god.
Plays Ghost Hawk. Reaps to 9, 10.
Yeah. Keep charge.
And then 10, yeah.
Plays Give Buck.
And then it's got to be key charge here. No! It's key charge in the archive.
Okay, so if he had key charge and didn't use it there, in my opinion, that was a substantial mistake. It may not matter, but it was a substantial mistake because
of the Scriven.
The main threat your opponent has is a strong Sanctum Steely turn.
I agree. I would have key charged there.
He doesn't have it, so he's got the Logos turn.
The thing is, he can always key charge off the Val Jericho. I was thinking, has he got enough in Untamed to do it? But the Val if he can get another creature down next to Val Jericho, you can key charge off the Val Jericho. And even if he reaps off Skippy, that gives Candle Unit ability to draw. And if you fight with Skippy, you give your opponent more amber. That's a bad Skippy. That's a bad situation for Skippy. Skippy might have just bought a turn here.
So, I mean, now there's 100% chance he has key charge here. So, the things you would need to do to not have enough to key charge here, it would. I'm just trying to think how you couldn't do that.
Well, but remember he's been Skippy time hogged, right? So he can't use anything on the board.
Oh, that's fair. Actually, that's a very good point. But he did not play Nature's Call. Oh, he did play Nature's Call last turn. Okay, all right. So he could have redrawn a Nature's Call. So yeah, actually, maybe the key charge isn't online. But if you have any Untamed creature, you can center Jericho. If you have a Pip in hand, there's stuff you can do.
It does feel like this is just kicking the can down the road from Lorenzo. Unless he can get that Scrivener turn on time.
So I'm just trying to make the amber a little bit clearer for everybody. In a quick way. Yep.
I'm just checking the enhancements in there as well, and from what I can see, there's only one Sanctum card with a capture pip on it.
Yeah, the favourite needs to either come down a lot sooner where it could be protected.
It needs to survive a turn.
Right, yeah. Right, not tonight. I've done what I can to try and make it a little bit clearer. Possibly change the colour. There we go. That should make the amber a lot clearer. The keys become clear as people forge.
Yeah. Okay, so Lorenzo's in.
This candle unit is getting lots of value.
Oh yeah, I mean that's like this is just it's. If I had to put odds on this game before the game started, I would have said that. The problem with putting odds on a match like this is it's totally draw dependent, right? If Jericho's the last card in his deck and not the first, then the match proceeds in a different manner.
I think that's going to be.
He's got to have key charge. He's pulled the archives. He's got to have key charge.
Yep, there we go.
There it is.
Game to a tight go.
Oh, that's why I need to get out of studio mode. That's why. There we go. There we go. He comes in. Good game. Let's get these guys into. Let's get these guys in for a chat. And let's.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the deck chat portion.
I don't know why.
My name is.
You should be able to hit. Oh, the way you have to hit there. Okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out that. Except it's working on my side, it's not working other side. Right. Hello, Lorenzo's going into the waiting room.
Hello.
Hello, Lorenzo. Hello, Dominic.
Hi.
So, I'll let you get your GGs out of the way first.
Yeah, GG.
So, yeah, that was an intense game.
Yeah.
So, how's Val Jericho's back after that game?
Yeah, it was like crazy with playing with her all the match. When I got her at the beginning, I don't even remember if I got her in the opening hand or later on. It's all covered in fog for me. I was pretty excited during the whole match that I could actually use her, and I feel bad for my opponent because that was one of the plays that could win the game for me.
Yeah, but that's just that what I told you for the game. With Captain in the opening hand, the first turn would be pretty tough for me, and yeah, it was really tough game. I think the Witch of the Wild was the second or third turn, which is also really hard, and I played 6 or 7 turns against both of the field, and then on the field with call and etc. Tough game.
Yeah, that's the kind of deck that I sometimes forgot what house I called at the beginning of this turn, because I could play almost every card in my hand at some point. So when the stars are right, of course, because it won't work every game. But yeah, this one was it was a high roll for me, and I liked it.
we saw some of the potential power of Griswold during the game, but there was no real Drecker manipulation, there was no real Techno-Fiend manipulation, there was no Favian that came out. There was a lot of power left in your deck that just didn't show itself in time.
Yeah, and on the wrong order. I think I got Konos, I got Sloppy, and okay in the time of the game, but without Konos, it's not that. It's really good, but it's not that powerful. And yeah, I think my start was just too slow. I think I got a chance with the Sanctum of the Purifier out if I could kill the Captain in the turn after that without the bounce and call. I think I'm good in game, but yeah, the call killed me, the first call, and after that it was really hard to catch up. I think in the middle of the game it looked like we were close. I think we were close on Ember. But yeah, I think you got already 13 cards in your deck left, or something like that, and yeah.
Yeah, I believe I draw everything in the correct order, and I have an answer for every play. And that's something that could happen in this matchup. But I had a pre-game matchups with my teammates, and I was sometimes obliterated with your deck. So it could go both ways.
Yeah.
There were
Totally.
some games that I have perfect board, and there were some games that I have close to none creatures on the board, and I barely forged the first key. Sometimes even not that far, even without a key. This was a tough matchup here, but I got some nice cards in the beginning, and I tried to keep them on the board. So,
Void, JB, anything you would like to add or ask?
So the question I was going to ask is, did you ever draw Lorenzo? Did you ever draw Scrivener there, or was that because I noticed you killed Molfin towards the end of the game, and that felt to me like you were setting up for a possible Scrivener like burst, but it never came. So I'm guessing you either didn't have it or didn't have the other cards you needed with it, or that's.
Yeah, I think I got Fabian on one point in the game, but to be honest, it's not that powerful card in my deck because I think I got one capture flip on the Vault Keeper, but no other one. So in the Sanctum turn I can just steal one. I think I could morph it, and I think with a Mark of this I would just to deny him reap chances, but I think also he got a Ghost Dog and Nature Score, so yeah, maybe I could play Mark of this there on Logos, which could be better, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's one thing I hadn't looked at because I just looked at the list. I didn't identify which particular pips, the capture pips were they were. So yeah, if they're not in Sanctum, then that doesn't make it a lot. Yeah, it's a fair point.
It's like a bait.
Dominic, quick question for me. Can you just talk us through a little bit your thinking with the key charge at the end there? The turn before you won, you had the opportunity to key charge and lock in that second key, but you decided to hold it and push through for the win with it?
Yeah, it's like we played a lot of games with top players here, and we discovered that when I key charge with Geralt for the third key, I could sometimes deny my opponent his third key, because my opponent here, Lorenzo, could still deny me the third key with some like Skippy Time Hawks, Opposition Research. He could capture a lot of Ember. He could steal some Ember using Screenriver Favian and his capture pips. Fortunately, on all the other houses except of Sanctum here, but I know that this, if I manage to archive key charge, I could always bring it for the third key. And I was already ahead with my Ember and with my keys, so I could afford it. And even if I forge even if my opponent denies me the second key, I could still come back and generate some more Ember. But I had some pre-game matchups with my teammates that actually denied me the third key using Mark of this and using some shenanigans with Skippy Time Hack. So I just wanted to keep it for the last key, and it works here. It worked here. Of course, I wasn't forced to forge because my opponent was already behind with the Ember and with keys. But it's like it's the card for the Darkest Hour here in this deck, I could say.
Was key charge in your archives?
Yeah, it was in my archives from the start when I drew when I drew Eddie, I instantly played it just to archive key charge.
Right. I'm just going to quickly play the KOTE quiz while you guys get your blue players into the waiting room.
Okay.
Right.
So I'll ask them.
Good luck with that.